This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is October 20th, 2022. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on, bro?
I've got a lot of emotions today as we record this, Jonathan. I have a lot, all right? I a ton, from my personal life to obviously having over a week and a half old baby right now, to it being my anniversary, to going to a nice dinner tonight that really was like pre-gaming the Magic game for me. Obviously is our anniversary dinner, but there was a lot going on today. And even after this game, I've sat with the result for a couple hours now, Jonathan, and I just feel a ton of different things that I really can't wait to unpack.
So before we get into that, because there's so much to get in, and it's just a mix of emotions all over the place. I think a lot of Magic fans are probably feeling that way today, but I would be remiss if we didn't just talk about the crowd that was at Elixir tonight. So I just want to say a couple of things. So there were people that when we were setting up the draft lottery watch party at Harry Buffalo, they had experienced the watch party the year before of us getting the 5th pick and the 8th pick, and they were kind of felt let down at that. So we were getting messages that day like, oh, I would go, but I don't want to get let down again. I know we're just going to get the 5th pick again, blah, 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 blah. Then I cannot tell you that night and since how many people I've run into and talked to that say, you know what, I was going to go to that draft lottery watch party and I didn't, and I'll kick myself for the rest of my life because you guys had so much fun at that. I could tell, blah, 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 blah. Now tonight, we partner with the Magic and Michelob Ultra again for this season opening night draft party at Elixir. And I know there are people that are like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't go. That place was so electric tonight. The atmosphere in there was like being at a game. There were chants, there were people screaming. I was yelling at the refs per usual. If you did not come to this, do not let yourself miss another one, folks. This is not me exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. This is not hyperbole. If you are not at these events, you are legitimately missing an incredible electric Magic crowd. And it was so much fun. At one point, there's people walking on top of the bars. A kid hit his head on the fan. There was like a Michelob Ultra chugging contest. Kids pouring beer all over themselves. It was crazy. It was legitimately a party at halftime. We had to kind of reel these folks back in, get them focused on the game again once the third quarter started. But it was just so much fun. Appreciate everybody that came out. It was really great just working with all the folks from the Magic. They're fantastic. Michelob Ultra. The staff at Elixir was great. The patty melt. I know I've been talking about the patty melt, Luke. I got it. It was fantastic. I got the patty melt. Ben's lovely fiance, Lexi, she got the patty melt. Philip Rossman Wright got the patty melt. We were all in agreement that the patty melt was top tier. All right? So if you're ever at the Elixir, do yourself a favor and get the patty melt. All right?
And
the Magic were up big
tonight, right?
And Stuff was there. I had no idea Stuff was coming. Bo Outlaw was there. It was just a great night all around. It was so much fun. Now, the result of the game wasn't exactly what we wanted, but I would be remiss if we didn't just talk about that. And before we really get into the conversation here, just want to remind everybody, coming up on Saturday, October 22nd it is, home opener for the Orlando Magic. Luke is going to be at Harry Buffalo around 6 o'clock. I'll be there a little bit after. We're going to hang out there from 6 to 6:30, 6:35, and then get our butts over to Amway for the game. So Harry Buffalo, the home opener, Saturday from 6 to 6:30, be there. Let's freaking talk about Paolo Banchero. I cannot wait to talk about anything else. The fact that we lost this game and we're so conflicted about are we dying over this loss or are we just ecstatic at how Paolo looked, it's a really weird feeling, I have to admit.
Yeah, I mean, shockingly, I would say that the reason that we are conflicted and the reason that we're not really probably beating ourselves up over the loss is because we're not healthy.
Oh, you mean the team?
Sucks.
You mean the team? I thought you meant us.
No, you and I, we're humming. All right. No, the team, right? Like Cole Anthony, that whole weird thing that happened was apparently at shoot around, I believe, per Kobe Price was that shoot around, and then they deemed that he had just an illness that he couldn't play. First, it was questionable, then it was ruled out. So on top of the obvious like looming questions of J.I. and Markel, we obviously knew they probably would not suit up tonight, leading into today. But then the Cole Anthony thing, it's just hard not to play the game of what ifs. Of if those three guys are healthy, Magic win this game. Like the Magic take a very young, also a team that in the Pistons that are going to over exceed expectation, in my opinion. And based on what we saw tonight from Jaden Ivey, my goodness, like they're going to over exceed their expectations. Just like I think the Magic will. We've talked a lot about that over 26.5. This game was a lot of fun. It didn't end the way that we wanted to, but again, if health wasn't in question for us, Cole Anthony plays tonight. Who knows how this goes? I don't think there's something to hang your head about. You're 0-1. It stinks to be 0-1. We'd much rather be 1-0, looking ahead of games like Atlanta and Boston up next on the docket. But at the same time, man, I think this team will compete much like last year. They will never give up. They showed that tonight as well. So there's a lot that you can talk about. And like I said, I cannot wait to really flesh out just things that you took from it and I took from it, because we haven't gotten to talk about it.
My takeaway is Paolo Banchero. My takeaway is fair. we are going to be absolutely fine. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, like we're going to be all right, folks. Like this loss sucked, and we're going to like really get into the details of the game. But I need to take a couple of minutes and just like gush over Paolo Banchero. If you don't want to hear that, you're going to need to fast forward a few minutes here. But the kid is just special, and it was on full display tonight. 27 points. He played 35 minutes, led the entire team, by the way. 27 points, which also led the team, by the way. 11 of 18 from the floor, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks. First of all, he had a chase down block that on Killian Hayes.
Yeah. What
happened to the fact that this kid wasn't going to be able to defend in the NBA? What happened to the fact that he was just going to be like a defensive cone and just wasn't going to give any effort on that floor? I knew that was complete crap from day one. But let me give you some stats here, okay? Paolo Banchero is the first number 1 overall pick with 25 points in their NBA debut since LeBron James in 2003. He's only the 5th player since the NBA-ABA merger, and again, the first player since LeBron James in their rookie debut to record at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in their NBA debut. And again, Paolo did us a little bit better than that in the rebound department with 9 rebounds. Since 1969, only 3 number 1 overall picks have dropped 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in their NBA debut. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, and Paolo Banchero. That seems good. I don't know. That seems good. I'm not saying he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm not saying he's LeBron James. But you could not have asked for a better NBA debut. And right now, that's all that we have to go off of.
Yeah.
He was incredible. He killed Corey Joseph. Like, Corey Joseph, they're like, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him after that dunk. But Paolo Banchero destroyed Corey Joseph on that fast break dunk, and it was incredible. I mean, like, buckets down the stretch to keep us in this game. He just looked every bit the part of a future NBA superstar tonight.
There was one point where he filled the lane, obviously perfectly. Down 1, 35 seconds left in the game. He and RJ, I believe it was he and RJ double teamed Jaden Ivey, I want to say. And then Paolo fills the lane down the middle, gets the ball. Actually, what I'm thinking about a different one. So RJ and Paolo on that play, double team on Ivy with like 1.5 minutes left in the game. Magic were down 5. Paolo lays it in to cut it to 3. But then down 3, Paolo gets the rebound, goes coast to coast for the lay-in, for the layup to cut it to 1 with 35 seconds left.
Should have been an one, I thought.
Yes, there were multiple plays down the stretch where Paolo, you looked at him and you're like, dude, how long have you been in the league? Because it looks like you've been here for a very long time. Don't get me wrong. There were some times where he went down the lane and just got the ball poked out when he was trying to go up for go up for a layup. He was very aggressive, obviously, something the Magic have needed for a very long time when it comes to just being able to get to the free throw line. We've alluded to this as well. Led the team in free throw attempts with 7, went 5 of 7. I'm not going to complain about 5 for 7 by any means, especially from Paolo, a rookie in game 1. Just looked like he was doing the little things. And like I also said, just filling the lane correctly. A lot of things that a lot of rookies lose in the midst of the game, Paolo seemed to have a tight grasp on. And just continue to do it. Right place, right time. It's how he scores he scores a bucket very early in the game. I think it was honestly the Magic's second bucket of the game. He scores the first. Not a bad way to start your NBA career. You score your team's first points of the season in the paint. Then you're in the right place, right time, able to get an easy lay-in, I believe it was, or maybe dunk for his second bucket of the game. He was just, like I said, dominated the simple and was able to do those things. And as Mosley calls it, level up. Like, he was very good. Aside from 4 turnovers, he had 5 assists, though. It was his first game. He looked incredible.
Again, like you look at the stat line, 27 points on 18 shots. You mentioned the 7 free throw attempts. That is something that the Magic have desperately needed for years and years, just somebody that can consistently get to the free throw line, but just didn't even attempt a single 3-pointer tonight, which is really, really, really impressive. So just full display, just everything that you could want out of a number 1 overall pick. And what the Magic have just desperately needed for so long is just like a guy that if you give him the ball, he's going to be able to go and get you a bucket. And we're just, this crowd is at Elixir, and especially the dunk, like I thought the roof was about to come off the place with the Paolo's dunk, and then Jalen Suggs, like the 3-point shooting spree in the third quarter, the place was going crazy for that too.
Crazy.
It's just, even with the loss, there were enough encouraging signs from this game, mainly Paolo Banchero, that just makes you feel like, okay, the hardest thing to do in the NBA is to find a superstar. If you have a superstar, you can build around them. You can figure the rest out. That is the hardest part. That is what the Magic have struggled with for the last 10 years, is just getting a superstar. And one game in, like early returns, I know we're getting super excited and exaggerating, but that's what this podcast is for, folks. Let's not kid ourselves. Paolo Banchero looks the part of a future NBA superstar. We just put him in the conversation with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and LeBron James. Like, one game in, I'm good.
Do you know the last time I received text from non-Magic fans about the Magic game going on right then, that they were like paying attention to it? It's been maybe never. Like, quite frankly, maybe never. I don't even know if I had a phone when we were going to the finals with Dwight Howard. Like, maybe I did. Regardless, I was not receiving text from anybody about it. Incredible from Paolo Banchero, giving me a reason to, like, even if this team gets off to a little bit of a rocky start here, you've got 2 really tough opponents in the next 2. I don't even remember who was after that. But you could see a way that this team could be 0-3. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to turn on my TV because I want to see Paolo Banchero play. And that's what the Magic have been missing for so long.
I completely agree. I could literally sit here all night and talk about Paolo Banchero and just how excited we are. But we need to talk about the rest of this game. All right. So let's kind of jump into this. So the Magic lose 113-109 to the Detroit Pistons. Start the game, you're down 6-2. The Magic go on a 19-0 run. I don't remember the last time the Magic went on a 19-0 run. But you start to build a lead in that first quarter. You're leading at the end of the first quarter, 28-17. And as good as the Magic looked in that first quarter, they looked is equally terrible in the second quarter, getting outscored 27-40. I believe they were down 5 going into the half. But just really, the story in this game for the Magic is just in terms of like rebounding, and it's really just Detroit's offensive rebounding. The Magic out-rebound the Pistons 48-41, but 12 offensive rebounds for the Detroit Pistons. Magic just fouling, 23 personal fouls in this game for the Magic, which led to 24 free throws for the Detroit Pistons. And then the turnovers, 18 turnovers for the Magic to Detroit's 12. That was really the entire story. I mean, if you look at the primary ball handlers, in that first half, Franz Wagner, 5 turnovers, Jalen Suggs, 4 turnovers. Paolo also had 4 turnovers. I really don't want to hate on Paolo Banchero tonight, so I'm not going to get on the rookie for his first game with 4 turnovers. But I think I noticed this the other night when we played Cleveland. I think it was Karis LeVert that was almost picking up Franz at full court at times. And with that kind of pressure, Franz was really bothered. And that was when, to me, I was like, okay, if we're going to be running Franz a lot at the point, he might struggle a little bit to get into his rhythm with like a lot of ball pressure like this. And he struggled with it tonight. 5 turnovers, Jalen Suggs, 4 turnovers. Like Jalen Suggs at this point, like turnovers are just a part of his game. But yeah, it was just the team, being sloppy with the ball, getting the ball poked away, errant passes, 18 turnovers. You're getting beat on the offensive glass. You're fouling way too much. Like those are all recipes for disaster. But the good news, Luke, is to me, those are all issues that are fairly like easily fixed. Like rebounding is just positioning, putting your body on a man when the ball goes up, right? Like how many times did we see guys just running straight to the rim for an offensive rebound tonight? It was at least a handful of times.
Yeah. That was definitely the most alarming to me. Like just it didn't. If you look at it, right, like the Magic had 10 offensive rebounds. Out rebounded the Pistons 38-29 on the defensive glass. It just felt like the Pistons, with their 12 offensive rebounds, got those at the most opportune times. The Magic had a chance to either carry momentum or shift momentum, and the next thing you know, you're looking at the Pistons getting an offensive rebound. There was one moment in particular that, like, kind of in my notes, I labeled a back-breaking moment for this team. And it was where let me find which one I want to look at here, because I have a few listed. But when we're down 2 with 4 minutes to go, and then there was that sequence where Cade gets the rebound. He has a oop attempt to Duren. Duren misses it. Ivy gets the long rebound and then draws the blocking foul on Jalen for that and one on the finish. That was just one example where it just seemed like the Magic just maybe weren't in position, got a little bit unlucky with that long rebound to Jaden Ivey, but you got to put a body on them, not give up on that, and just go. Like, I know it's the NBA. I know that, players absolutely take plays off, but in the pivotal moments, in those opportune times, you have got to learn to put a body on somebody to prevent the offensive rebound. And it just seemed that even though the Pistons didn't do that by huge numbers and big difference, they still did it, like I said, at the most opportune times. And it was backbreaking for the Magic.
The Magic shoot 48% in this game, 36% from the 3-point line. The Pistons 42% and 36.8, so virtually the same. Magic were 11 of 30, Detroit 14 of 38, so they make a few more threes there. But yeah, I mean, you out rebound a team and you shoot better from the floor and you still lose the game, really because of fouling and turnovers. And like you said, those offensive rebounds for the Pistons really did come at the most opportune times. And that sequence, especially that you described, really did feel like a backbreaker. But the crazy thing is the Magic are still in this game until like the near end. Paolo just didn't really do a good job of keeping Cade in front of him on really the possession that killed us. Cade Cunningham gets around Paolo. Wendell kind of comes over to help defend Cade, and at that point, it's like either give Cade a wide open layup or you're giving Isaiah Stewart a wide open 3, which up to that point, Isaiah Stewart was 0 of 3 from the 3-point line. Every time he was taking one of those, I'm like, the Magic will give you that all day. Like, if that's what's going to beat us, then so be it. And in the most Magic fashion ever, that's just the best way that I can describe this, is Isaiah Stewart open for 3 to put them up 4, in the final minute of the game. And sure enough, freaking Isaiah Stewart hits that 3. Wouldn't you know it? Well, and, the Magic still did a good, job of staying in this game down the stretch and, making it tough. But really, they ended up running out of time here. So encouraging signs. Obviously, we talk about Paolo, 27 points. But looking at Franz, 20 points, 8 of 18 from the floor. Not his most efficient night. This is one of the most visibly frustrated games I've seen from Franz. In that first half, like with the turnovers, he was like really getting annoyed. And then I don't know about you, I felt like this was one of the worst Wendell games that we've seen in a while. And looking at the stat sheet, you wouldn't say that. 11 points, 11 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the floor. But he just didn't seem like the same like connector offensively. And he didn't really, to me, seem like the same like presence defensively either. I felt like, especially him, I think there were a couple of offensive rebounds. Let's see. Yeah, Jalen Duren, 5 offensive rebounds. And when they were in the game, like that was really Wendell's assignment. And it just seemed like he was missing, like really getting the body on Jalen Duren. And Duren was just getting a free run to the rim, getting those offensive rebounds. I mean, he finishes with 14 points, 10 rebounds in his rookie debut, 3 blocks as well. That kid's going to be really good. But, it's a frustrating loss because, you look at the schedule and you say, if the Magic want to be a play-in team, this is a game that they have to win. But all things considered, I still feel pretty good because like the Magic didn't play particularly well in this game and we're still in it at the very end, but they have a lot to clean up. Like the rebounding, to me, that should be like a couple of days of drills and the rebounding should not be an issue. Like we know Wendell is a good rebounder. We know Franz can be a good rebounder. Paolo showed tonight that he can be a good rebounder. I think that's going to be fine. The turnovers, the more that these guys play together, the more that Mosley really gets like these lineups kind of locked down. No Cole Anthony tonight was a massive deal. Anybody that thinks otherwise is just super mistaken because apart from, Jalen Suggs and, Franz trying to be the ball handler, they really missed Cole like helping facilitate the offense tonight, I thought.
Yeah. Well, all it takes is one look at the box score at the bench unit to see that just replacing one of those guys with Cole Anthony, like giving one of his, those minutes to Cole makes a huge difference in this game, Jonathan. You look at it, you had Chuma Okeke played 18 minutes, went 0 of 3 from the field. Caleb Houston, 22 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field. RJ Hampton plays 11 minutes. He gets some run in the second half just due to kind of some scenarios, which was probably the biggest surprise for me for the night is that it took till the second half to get RJ in the game. I thought RJ did fine with the minutes that he got, right? Like 11 minutes, 5 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, whatever, right? The only one in the bench unit with a positive plus or minus. So you plug Cole into any of those spots really, and I think this game has a different outcome. Like you said, you just miss that presence of just someone being familiar enough to run the offense, but also have the handles to not commit silly turnovers and get pressured and make the wrong play. So don't get me wrong, Cole Anthony isn't perfect when it comes to running the offense, but at the same time, I'd rather him over the guys that we saw tonight run the offense. So just having him in as another body would have been refreshing too.
I mean, Mo Bamba, in 12 minutes, 0 of 5 from the floor, 0 of 4 from the three-point line, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Like, that's just not going to be good enough. Like, if Mo wants minutes this year and he doesn't want all of his minutes to be taken by Bol, which, I mean, we can, I think that's just going to be an ongoing conversation. It looks like that's very possible. Bol, 17 minutes tonight, 10 points, 6 rebounds, a block. He was making impactful plays tonight. Chuma Okeke in almost 18 minutes, 0 of 3 from the floor, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. RJ Hampton, like you said, 5 points, 2 assists, no turnovers though. Like that's the big thing for me from RJ is just play under control and don't hurt the team. And Jamal Mosley talked about the fact that, once Jalen got in foul trouble and, Franz was looking a little bit tired and was having some issues, with ball handling and with the turnovers, he brought RJ in the second half just as like another secondary ball handler, just to take the load off of some of these other guys. But when we look at this team tonight, no Cole Anthony, we know the other guys that were missing, no Gary Harris, no Markelle Fultz, no Jonathan Isaac, no Mo Wagner. And we look at Detroit, I mean, the only guy on their roster that I think is really going to be getting rotation minutes that didn't play tonight is Nerlens Noel. And honestly, when you look at Isaiah Stewart and you look at Jalen Duren, Nerlens Noel actually might not get rotation minutes for the Pistons this year if those guys play the way that they did tonight. So, yeah, it
Also,
sucks that it's
Alec
a loss.
Burks.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Alec Burks was the other one that plays for them, but he wasn't there tonight.
Yeah, that's weird. He's not even listed on the box score, so that's why I forgot about good old Alex Burks. Yeah, he'll probably crack the rotation, but I mean, I don't think he's making a massive difference the way that I think guys like Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz will for us. Another thing that I thought the Magic were missing tonight, especially in the second quarter when things started to get out of control, they looked like they got panicked and just kind of sped up. They didn't have like a calming presence on the floor. Like Franz is very good, Paolo's very good, Wendell's very good. Those guys are going to get there. But when things start to go wrong, this lineup tonight did not have somebody that's just going to bring everybody in and be like, yo, let's calm down. Let's do what we do well, and let's get back in this game. I think Cole Anthony would have went a long way in that regard tonight, but especially a guy like Markelle Fultz, another guy like Gary Harris, just to come in and just calm everybody down, just be a calming presence on the floor for the Magic. And especially in the second quarter, I thought they really needed that. We didn't talk about Jalen Suggs. I mean, Jalen Suggs, 21 points, 8 of 11 from the floor, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. We did talk about the turnovers. 18 of those 21 points came in the third quarter. Jalen had a pretty big spurt where I don't know what it was. It 3 or 4 threes in a row out of Suggs. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 threes in a row out of Jalen Suggs. And honestly, if not for that spurt in the third quarter, the Magic probably lose this game by like 15. So they were very much still in this game because of Jalen Suggs just going crazy in the third quarter. And now I'm not saying he's going to go 4 of 6 from the three-point line every night. I don't think that's the case. But I've been begging every basketball god imaginable since the end of the season that Jalen Suggs would at least shoot over 30% from the three-point line this year. The next thing for him is just going to be to get the turnovers and the fouls. We can't have you fouling out, especially down Cole Anthony already. Jalen Suggs fouling out just was maybe just like one of the final blows for this team to end up losing this game, not being able to mount the comeback tonight.
Yeah, well, the other thing about Suggs is that I believe, so he finishes the game with 4 turnovers. I think he had at one point 4 turnovers, 0 assists, or 3 turnovers, 0 assists, something to that effect. He ends the game with 3 assists and 4 turnovers. So he was able to kind of get his footing. Either he went, he was 3-0 ratio of assists to turnovers, or 3-1. Regardless, he got it together, and then in that third quarter, he was able to obviously make his presence felt. What was going on?
Dude, I don't know.
I could not believe what I was watching, and it got. I mean,
we saw it last year against the Nets. Yeah. Like we saw it once last year.
You're right, but it's crazy to see it in the first game of the season, where, like you said, we've been hoping that he can just be an average, even just slightly below average 3-point shooter. I put in my notes, 4 minutes left in the third. Suggs hits the 3 that starts his out-of-body experience, and it cut the lead to 7. Suggs takes and makes, and I put Suggs takes and makes his third 3. He knew it was going in, and then I put he pimped it and cuts it to 8 with like a minute and a half left in that third quarter. You knew it was going in. I knew it was going in. He dribbled
that way.
He dribbled in a circle, it felt like, real quick, and then got free and shot the ball, and you knew it was going in because he puts his hand up and then he just lets his wide base go out, and he just sits there and just watches it go in with his hands folding the follow through. I could not believe what I was watching, especially because of how mad he made me in the first half. I was so mad at Jalen in the first half from the turnovers he had, and in the third quarter, and totally redeem yourself. Having 18 in the third quarter and shooting, being able to shoot like that, that's huge in game 1 of a season for a second-year player who needs confidence. He spoke to it. That, like, mentally, he just doesn't feel like he maybe was there. I believe that was at media day. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if that's what the guy is struggling with, and then he has a game like this where he's just letting it all hang out in the third quarter and he's shooting anything and everything, it was ridiculous. I hated that it was things to, he cuts it to 5, and then his last 3, I believe, or one of the last ones that he made in that quarter, cuts it to 8. That was unfortunate, and it really kind of made it not as enjoyable, but it was still like, what is happening?
Yeah, 18 points, 7 of 9 from the floor, 4 of 5 from the 3-point line in the third. It was just like Elixir was going crazy. I wish it was in Amway, man. That would be so much fun to experience a shooting performance like that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, there are like good takeaways, things that you can take away, like positives from this game. But then when you look at it and you're like, yeah, if Jalen Suggs doesn't score 18 points in the third quarter, then the Magic's total would have been 10. They scored 28 in the third without Jalen. They scored 10. I mean, a guy's feeling it like that. You're just giving him the ball and tell him to shoot. But I don't think we're going to see many 4 of 6, shooting from Jalen Suggs, especially 4 in a row in one quarter. But like you said, like even if he's slightly below average, it would be a massive improvement, upon last year. So that was a ton of fun. Last thing I want to talk about from this game, 6-man Caleb Houston. I think there's something to this that, like, obviously Cole Anthony wasn't in the game, so Caleb's the first guy in off the bench, because the starting lineup was going to be Cole Anthony, Terrence Ross, Franz, Paolo, Wendell, and then Cole with whatever kind of illness. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully he's able to go on Friday. But Jalen Suggs gets put into the starting lineup. I was actually pretty interested to see what Jalen was going to look like off the bench. I can't lie. I really was looking forward to seeing that. But without that, Caleb Houston, first guy in off the bench, that was a little bit surprising, I must say. Didn't look great in his rookie debut. 21 minutes, 0 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block. Again, 0 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line. It's a rookie debut for a second-round pick. I don't want to go crazy. Still think he has a lot of potential. But that was interesting. I don't think we see that again. But if he's even like the second or third guy off the bench, that's something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's anything, but it's definitely something.
We'll see. And it was surprising, right? There was a lot of things in the rotation that happened tonight that from obviously that standpoint, just a weird start with Cole in general, and then RJ playing 11 minutes, whatever he ended up at in the second half. I wanted to make a note as well. We obviously know that the second quarter was bad, but I think that what is maybe overlooked is the fact that this offense scored over 100 points, which is something that did not come easy last season in general. Had some times where that just was hard to get to. The Magic scored 28 in the first, 27 in the second, 28 in the third, and 26 in the fourth. Very consistent offensively. You just can't give up 40 points in the second, and even 34 in the third is high. So, I mean, in the first and fourth quarter you hold them to 17. Fourth quarter, you hold them to 22. So just you have to tie it all together. It's the other half of the game. You have to play defense. But the encouraging part for me is that just the offense was good. Like the offense was able to pull something out of anywhere, whether it was Paolo just consistently being steady and really going off quarter to quarter, or Jalen going, nuclear in the third quarter. So the Magic were able to pull offense from somewhere. That's a large part of this game. Going to be the large part of this game moving forward. As a young team, you're going to deal with turnovers game to game. But if you can find offense like the Magic were able to find it tonight and just play a little bit more defense, it's a fun season. It's not just a fun season, it's a good season.
Now, Jamal Mosley has talked about the fact that it's going to, like, the lineups are going to, and the rotation's going to be fluid for a little bit, that like the rotations aren't set in stone right now. One of the lineups that just like really jumped out to a lot of people, this Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter, Bol, Franz Wagner, Caleb Houston lineup that only played 2 minutes together, but they had a negative 50 net rating. This other lineup that played 5 minutes together, so I think is at least a little bit better of a sample size. Mo Bamba, Bol, Chuma Okeke, Franz Wagner, Caleb Houston, just like these massive lineups. That was also a negative 51.5 net rating. The best lineup that the Magic played tonight that played like significant minutes together was that. Well, actually, no, it was Terrence, Wendell, RJ, Franz, and Paolo, they had a 44 net rating. They had a 111 offensive rating and a 66.7 defensive rating. That starting lineup, Terrence, Wendell, Jalen, Paolo, Franz, had a 112.9 offensive rating and 96.7 defensive rating, which was good for a 16.2 net rating. So I'm not trying to draw like any big conclusions from these net ratings one game in when these lineups have played 2, 5, 4, 15 minutes together. I don't want to draw any massive conclusions, but tonight at least, like the jumbo lineup did not work tonight. It was just really, really clunky. Without a primary ball handler, like a Cole or a Markel or even a RJ or a Jalen, I just think this team is going to struggle at least a little bit until we're to the point where Franz is more comfortable and Paolo is more comfortable, because I think the more tape that teams get on Franz as the primary ball handler, they're going to realize if you can get a smaller guard on him that's just going to like get up inside of him. Right now he seems to be struggling with that. I'm sure he can figure it out, but it wasn't great against Cleveland with Karis LeVert, and it wasn't great tonight either. So, but again, your Orlando Magic lose the first game of the season 113-109 to the Detroit Pistons. Now they're on their way to Atlanta. We'll see them on Friday. Kevin and I will be there. He's driving over from Savannah. I'm flying up to Atlanta. We'll be at that Atlanta game. So looking forward to that. And then, of course, on Saturday is going to be the home opener. Luke, I meant to ask you this a minute ago. Did you notice Mosley like a little bit more, I don't want to say hot-tempered, but I don't really have a better phrase for it right now. Just like way more annoyed at any point that we saw him last year, where he was just kind of like, oh, it is what it is last year, and just like this overly like positive guy. Tonight he was like visibly frustrated, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think that it all really boils down to the fact that this team is not just focused on developing players anymore. We heard it from the front office last year, right? It was all about developing. This year, it's about winning basketball games. And I think anytime you're trying to win, your competitive side comes out. We've seen Mosley talk that talk to guys like LeBron James when he was on the bench, right? Like, we know Mosley gets fired up. So we know it's in there. We've seen him on some occasions get to that point where he is fired up about just everything in general going on with the game. But I think we're going to see it a lot more this season. I think Mosley is going to come into his own, kind of like how we've also made, I know you made the observation last year on Pod Squad, Mosley was just a little bit more not professional, but, buttoned up. And then he was able to joke around with the guys on Pod Squad this year. He is just more comfortable. And I think that is going to seep into more than just interviews. I think that he is going to be that voice on the sideline that maybe these guys need, that tough love. He maybe it's a little bit of good cop, bad cop. Probably played a lot of good cop last year. And Mosley's going to play bad cop this year. And I can't wait for it. I want him to want to win games. I want him to hate losing, because he knows that he now has a product on the court, and he has a guy like Paolo Banchero that makes winning that much easier to make happen. It is not easy to win games in the NBA. So I think Mosley's going to feel that, and he's going to want to win games. And let's face it, also, games against the guys like the Pistons, who were in the same tier as you last year, you want to win those games. You want to know that you're out of that tanking territory. And it does suck to lose this game, and I completely understand why Jamal Mosley felt that way.
They've been talking about accountability and leveling up like really since the end of last season, and I think that's part of it. Like Mosley's like, all right, guys, like we had last year where it was all about like development. Now we want to try to win games, and he's holding the guys to a higher standard, it seems like. So I really like seeing that out of Jamal. And he seemed annoyed in the post-game press conference. They wanted to win that game, and that's really encouraging, because last year it was like, whew, we almost beat the Pistons, guys. Like we escaped that one, you know what I mean? Right. So, but just looking forward. All right, we have a Shaq jersey to give away. So first of all, just want to thank everybody that entered. It's really great, like getting everyone's opinions, which were like overwhelmingly positive. Like, I really thought we were going to get a lot of people like, oh, we're still tanking, we're going to suck. I would say for the most part, people have the Magic winning between like 34 and 40 wins, which makes me feel really good about my 26.5, the over bet on the Magic win total for the year. But without further ado, little drum roll here. The winner of the Orlando Magic signed Shaquille O'Neal jersey is M_Raheem83. Raheem83. Send us an email at sixthmanshowpc@gmail.com. Again, that's sixth, SIXTH, sixthmanshowpc@gmail.com. We're going to make sure you are who you say you are. So be ready to prove your identity, Raheem83. But congratulations. Really appreciate this. And thanks again to everybody that entered this. Thanks to everybody that just helped make this possible. All of our listeners and all of our supporters. We want to continue to do giveaways like this in the future, somewhat periodically. So really appreciate everybody that entered in this giveaway. And congrats to Raheem83. Hit us up so that we can ship that jersey out to you. And then let's shout out our patrons, Luke. Let's go ahead and do that here. We've got quite a few new patrons here. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I said we had a special giveaway coming up for our patrons here in the future, but I am certainly not going to complain at all. We've got some new patrons. So if you're not aware, we do have a Patreon channel where you can find us at patreon.com/the6manshow. Starting at $2 a month, you can just help support the show. And then we also have other tiers where you can get more benefits as well, like access to our Discord channel and monthly Zoom, exclusive Zoom meetings, where we just get on and we hang out. We talk Orlando Magic basketball with our Hall of Fame tier patrons. And then we shout out our brand new patrons every single episode. So I'm going to do that right now. So shout out, first of all, Zico, who's been a patron of ours for quite a while, actually, who went annual. So if you go annual instead of going like the month-to-month membership, you save yourself 15% on the entire year. So Zico in our All-Star tier decided that he was just going to go for the entire year. So Zico, we really, really appreciate that. And then our new patrons, All-Star, in the All-Star tier, Sam the Magic Man. All-Star tier, Dan Hicks. Bill Fulton with the annual Hall of Fame, the massive annual Hall of Fame tier for the Patreon here. Edmund Liggins, who subscribed to our Hall of Fame tier. And then Jose Esquilin, I hope I said that right. I met him tonight at Elixir. Really, really nice guy. He joined our Hall of Fame tier. And then our boy Gabe Gaines went from the All-Star tier to the Hall of Fame tier. So a lot of stuff going on with the Patreon this week. Really, really appreciate everyone's support. And then we also always shout out all of our Hall of Fame tier patrons. So let's start by shouting out Court Cousins, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Bailey, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Salapong, Franz Goda Fichot, Ryan Singh, The Distract, Luke's Mom, I'm Ron Burgundy, Pierre A., Migzors, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Nate Donnelly, Goody93, who was also at Elixir tonight. Really nice meeting you, my brother. Teddy Sylvia, Breadhead, Brian Leggins, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Giraldo, Bill Fulton, Edmund Ligon, and Jose Esquilin. Thank you guys so much for your support. It allows us to do literally every single thing that we do. We couldn't do it without you guys. Luke, coming up on Friday at Atlanta, we're going to take on the Hawks, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, and those boys. And then Saturday, the home opener versus the Boston Celtics. We talked about the fact that we will be at Harry Buffalo, the scene of the crime from the NBA Draft Lottery watch party. Place is always going to be very, very special to me, but we'll be there from 6 to 6:30 on Saturday night before we play the Boston Celtics. Has your prediction changed at all of what the Magic are going to do this week? We said 2-1, I think.
Yep,
we lost the first one.
I said we would lose the first one, and then we'd win the next two. So if I'm right, that would be nice. And if I'm right, it probably is because Cole Anthony is playing and Paolo Banchero, maybe he gives us a 30 piece next time instead of that 27. Yeah. Anything's possible with this kid. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. He didn't even take a freaking 3 tonight, and he still had 27. It doesn't matter. I mean, the kid, he hits a couple threes. 30 points is absolutely in the running.
It's going to be crazy because you can tell, obviously, he didn't take any tonight. We all knew that he was going to need to develop in that regard. But again, I just like when you put anybody, the only person to do this in their rookie debut since LeBron James, like really, really good. Only 3 number 1 overall picks since 1969 have dropped 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in their debut. Kareem, LeBron James, Paolo Banchero. Timothy Banchero.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just so excited about this kid. And we've just been waiting for a superstar for so long. And to see the kid lead the team in minutes, tie for the lead in field goal attempts, lead them in scoring, lead them in free throw attempts. Like, to me, that's honestly the biggest thing. 5 of 7 from the free throw line tonight. We lost 15 games last year by 6 or less points.
Yeah, get to the stripe.
5 free throws get you, most of the way there.
Also, for those of you that might have missed it, like I might have missed it when Jonathan was listing Paolo stats earlier, Paolo played 35 minutes tonight, which is great. It's awesome to hear. You saw it at Duke last year where he was like sweating out pounds from his body. It's great to see that not happening anymore. They've got that under control. But the fact that he's playing 35 minutes, first game, ready to go, leading the team in minutes. I think he was playing like anywhere from like 18 to 25 in preseason. So it's just really good to see that he's even capable of, running those 35 minutes and be highly productive in the process. And physical, I can't wait.
It feels good. If anything, tonight was encouraging. I know we didn't get the win, but I don't know how you can look, especially at that tandem of Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, and not think that the future is like incredibly bright. Like, we had Bill Simmons tweeting out that he thought that Pistons Magic was one of the most watchable opening nights since LeBron and Dwayne Wade on the Heat played Boston back in, what was that, 2010? He called it one of the most watchable opening night games in a long time. Said that Paolo Banchero already looks like an all-NBA guy, even though he's not trying to overreact. I mean, if the trajectory tracks with Paolo Banchero, we do have an all-NBA player on our hands, and that's super exciting to think about. And yeah, I hope it becomes true. I hope it comes to fruition because we need it so badly. We deserve it, man. Tonight was really cool, like getting to meet a lot of our listeners at Elixir, and just everybody's so like positive right now and excited about this team. It's something that I'm not used to. And the sentiment, you, myself, Kevin, we all talked about this, that it really sucks that we lost, but we're not crushed because of how good Paolo looked. It's a weird feeling to have, man. But I hope this feeling lasts forever. But I hope it actually translates into wins. I hope we're not just always like, oh, we lost, but at least we have Paolo Banchero, because after a while, I'm sure that's going to get old. But anything else, Luke?
No, I'm excited for Friday and Saturday. We got a fun weekend ahead of us.
I'm excited for Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a great end of the week here. I'll be so much more excited on Saturday if we win on Friday. If we lose on Friday, I'm going to be a little bit concerned about Saturday, I've got to say. Especially with so many Celtics fans being there. I've heard that it's like going to be 60-40 Celtics fans on Saturday. That's an estimation. That's what I've heard. I'm not going to give up my source, but that's what I've heard. So if you're a Magic fan right now on the fence about going to that game, hit Ticketmaster, hit SeatGeek, whatever you got to do to get tickets to this game. And if you're going to be there, make sure you make a lot of noise. Let's make the Celtics uncomfortable. Let's take the Amway back. Let's make it a real home court advantage for our Magic because they deserve it. And let's just hope Seattle never gets an expansion team, at least for not like the next 30, 40 years. Yep. We need Paolo Banchero in Orlando for a long time. That is going to do it for us, folks. We appreciate everything from all of you. Thank you so much. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You've been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!